Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is One of One, but you can call me Seven. And I don't want to waste any time today. I want to get back right back into it because they're in a pretty dire situation. Shizuki and Aoko, things are not looking very good, and they got to figure out how they're going to get out of here. And I need to see how Aoko and Shizuki are going to sort of like what the relationship is going to look like after this. I'm so curious. I need to know what's going to go on. I need to see if Shizuki's going to start like learning magic or like magecraft. I don't know. I'm just really curious. Let's get going. Sojiro ran through the corridor as fast as he could, only stopping when he had put enough distance between them and the puppet. I was thinking, and though he had saved her, she looked angry rather than grateful. This did not keep Sojiro from saying his piece. Tomorrow is going to be a really busy day for me, so in other words, let's finish this today. A rather awkward proposal. Aoko remained silent. She was also rather angry, not that she could not figure out what made him tick, nor because he'd returned after escaping, not even because he was spouting his typically airheaded lines. It was, she supposed, that instant. The fact that when he grabbed her hand, her mind had gone completely blank. Aoko found it unforgivable. Which beckoned the response, "Are you insane?" In the heat of the moment, she blurted it before she could stop herself. Or maybe you've got a death wish? Don't you realize that either of us could kill you with a snap of a finger? I want to know what the nuances, what the implication of this writing is, or at least this translation, because what does it mean? Like, her mind went blank when he grabbed her hand. Huh? What does that mean? I don't know. I want to know. I don't know you a damn thing. Saving my life doesn't change a thing between us. Sojiro nodded, clearly unperturbed. Don't worry, Aozaki. If tonight taught me anything, it's that you're more ruthless than that. She found herself slightly offended. But I think you need to get one thing straight. That thing isn't just trying to kill you. I think it's trying to kill me as well. She was having none of it. Her eyes shot daggers his way. Look at this guy. And before you chew me out, you need to know something. Do you remember the first floor entrance at the end of that long corridor? Well, it's blocked. I tried my best to find a way out, but no luck. There was no choice but to turn right back. Aoko's eyes widened ever so slightly in amazement. She felt admiration rather than shock that her enemy would go to such lengths. And besides, it was hostile to me too earlier. I could tell by how it was glaring at me. Well, it happened so fast that I didn't really get a good look at it, but it was really unsettling. You should be careful. That thing, she sure has a terrifying face. It looks like me, asshole. Gee, thanks. You bet. I mean, I can't pretend like this isn't happening to me. Whichever of you wins, I'm a dead man either way, right? I can't argue with that. If it's willing to go as far as to seal off the entrance, then it'd probably kill any witnesses as well. At least, that's what I do. Right? And I don't want her to be the one who kills me. Wait, what? His words were decisive. As Aoko looked up at him, she could swear he was trying to encourage her. It was then that she realized. Sojiro was looking even worse than before. Hey, are you okay? Well, I'm better than if I'd drunk an entire bottle of soy sauce. He tried to make light of the situation, but his forehead was clearly drenched in sweat. Right. It's because he was close to the puppet just now. How could he possibly be able to withstand a curse that made even Aoko nauseous? She bit her lip, annoyed at herself for not noticing this earlier. Sojiro was such an airhead that she hadn't even paused to consider his plight. Why didn't you consider trying to hide down in the basement? That would have been the safest bet, wouldn't it? She really could not understand him at all. You should really take your own advice sometimes, Aozaki. But hey, this is no time to be chatting. She could catch up at any moment. He turned to look down the corridor. The crackling sounds of a music box could be heard creeping forth from the darkness. I was thinking about this while I was on the first floor earlier. If it kills you, I'm next. That's why we should deal with it first. What are you getting at? She asked a question to which she already knew the answer. She did it to put him to the test. If he wavered even a little, she would have killed him where he stood. My proposal is if I agree to help you kill that thing, will you let me go? I thought I'd made it clear that helping me wasn't going to change my mind. And besides, what do you think you're going to do to it anyway? Oh, that's your end of the bargain, Aozaki. This is your area of expertise, right? The commander who had the overall picture was responsible for delegating roles to their teammates. It was futile to depend on someone who was unable to grasp the situation or evaluate the enemy's strength. Sojiro was proud to share that he knew this. He spoke the truth. Aoko was the only one who knew both Sojiro and the automata. That was why he pointed out that following her orders to the best of his ability was the only thing he could do. It may have seemed as though Sojiro had surrendered his capacity for self-thought, but in accepting that he was helpless, he was in fact giving Aoko his complete trust. Fine then. So you do exactly what I tell you to do? I will. Just, you know, I'm not doing this out of a sense of obligation or anything. It's just, obvious that neither of us had a chance on our own. This isn't goodwill or kindness. It's a transaction. His eyes sparkled as if this was bartering in its truest form. Oh my god, this child must have learned that from Tobimaru, Aoko thought. Though she refused to let him see it, she smiled inwardly. Sure, he had gotten the best of her just now, but there were times when defeat was not the worst outcome in the world. Honest pay for honest work makes sense, and I hate to admit it, but... She relaxed her shoulders and sighed. Her face cracked into a wicked grin, as if her fears had suddenly washed away. Your plan is just my style. I love these two. I love these two. This is great. This dynamic is wonderful. I love it so much. Oh my god. This is the best thing ever. Aoko repaid Sojiro's trust in equal measure. Oh, this is awesome. I like this a lot. All right, here they come. Just so you know, this is going to be pretty tough for you. Aoko warned Sojiro, moving as fast as she could without her footfalls causing a din of noise. Sojiro remained near the center of the spiral maze on the second floor. I'll let you in on a secret. I have another trap up my sleeve. I think I might have gone overboard with this one, but when you didn't show up on time, I just couldn't help myself. A trap? For me. Sojiro tilted his head like a squirrel as Aoko freely discussed the final ace up her sleeve. Ooh, a blueprint! Okay. I engraved an ignition formula into the support pillars in the basement. If I ignite the central pillar, it will start a chain reaction that will ignite the rest. I made it before that thing started jamming me, so if I infuse it with a bit of magical energy, it'll go boom. Sojiro was a little unsettled by how unclear that last bit was. Could you, clarify? I want to know how much you were going to blow me up, please be honest. Also, did I make a mistake agreeing to team up with you? Don't be silly, it was just, an insurance policy. Yeah. I just thought that if I lost sight of you at any point, I could blow the whole building and you with it. Oh. Well, alrighty then. It was her policy to be thorough to a fault after all. She laughed, embarrassed to hear herself say it aloud. Don't you think that's overkill? Faced with Aoko's cruelty, Sojiro forgot about the situation at hand and protested from the bottom of his heart. See, these two are the best. They have the best dynamic. At least now we have a way to fight back. She shot back. Aoko dashed down the corridor, mumbling things that probably would have sent Sojiro packing if he heard them. The strategy was simple. Aoko would use the escape route to the right and avoid the puppet while making her way down to the basement. Upon reaching the central pillar, she would infuse the formula she had prepared with magical energy and escape. Once ignited, it would take about a minute for the chain reaction to spread throughout the whole House of Mirrors, and another minute for the building to collapse. She would be cutting it a little close, but because she had committed the maze to memory, she was sure she could make it out in time. Aoko assumed that the chain reaction caused by the pillar would clear the barrier that the puppet had placed at the entrance, and even if it was strong enough to withstand the blast, it would not be able to stay standing once the foundations buckled. Sojiro's escape was assured, as long as the formula in the basement was activated. Next came the most important part. The automaton was at a disadvantage in the obstacle-laden House of Mirrors and was unable to move at full speed. If it was near the center of the second floor when the building collapsed, it would be caught up and crushed by it. So the problem was keeping the puppet on the second floor until Aoko could make it down to the basement. I'm counting on you, Shizuki. I just need you to keep it occupied for 3 minutes. Ideally, he would be able to keep it busy until she could activate the formula. If that failed to work, him luring it down to the first floor would be the next best thing. She understood perfectly well the danger she was putting Sojiro in, but his lucky streak and running speed were nothing to scoff at. As long as all he has to do is run, then maybe, just maybe, he can actually pull this off. Aoko made her way through the hidden passage of the maze, her hopes pinned on Sojiro. Hell yeah, they're thrown into this together, baby. Meanwhile, well out of earshot, Sojiro was readying himself for another desperate chase. He calmed his beating heart using a method of his own making. What mattered most was that he remained calm. The plan was simple enough, and Aoko's orders were succinct and easy to understand. Keep a distance of around 30 feet and weave through the corridors as slowly as you can 3 or 4 times. Count the mirrors as you move to locate the hidden passages. From here, they are on the 6th, 3rd, 7th, and 2nd mirrors counterclockwise. Use those and you should be relatively safe. I'd be dead. I'd die. It would be over for me. I'd actually just straight up die. It'd be over. It was essentially a looping marathon. As long as Sojiro kept just enough distance from the puppet's extended arm to allow her to track him, she could continue to chase him indefinitely. Simple though the task was, Sojiro was putting his life on the line as bait. And then there was the final order to run as fast as he could to the exit when the building began to sway. This is more than just a little tough. He nervously stuck his head out from around the corner. He could hear the sound of the music box from the other side of the corridor. Oh god. I could just hear it faintly there for a second. First, he had to make eye contact with it. Then head through the shortcut on the right and begin their game of tag. There we go. Boom. He spotted it and braced himself. Closer. Closer. Fearing that her arm could fly at him at any moment, he went over Aoko's instructions in his head. Wait, Ore? However, he could not quite remember which pane led to the first hidden passage. The 3rd? The 6th? The 9th? See, I'd die. It'd be over for me. No. He was sure that was mistaken. He was confident he had it memorized moments ago, but his nerves had gotten the best of him and his head was now spinning. Then, Sojiro realized that the sound of his pursuer was beginning to grow distant and at an incredible speed. What's it doing now? The unusual silhouette of the puppet astonished him before it had taken the form of a beautiful girl. But now it made a bizarre transformation and returned to the first floor to pursue her primary target. Shit. This isn't part of the plan. Sojiro was no longer sure what to do. Before he even had time to mourn his failure. Oh, sorry, I did not mean to hit that. The puppet had vanished out of sight. I'll help, so let me go, or so he had said, but now he could not follow through. So, what am I supposed to do now? Alone, he tilted his head in frustration. He spoke into the darkness as if Aoko would be there to answer him. Ah, shit. That's not good. I had a feeling that might happen, but I didn't want to say it. Meanwhile, downstairs, as soon as she arrived on the first floor, Aoko understood what had transpired above her. She did not even have to strain her ears to hear the puppet. Even during its heyday, this distraction had never made sounds like the one she heard coming toward her now. It was the sound of despair. As if a horde of monstrous hedgehogs were scraping their way past the mirrors in her direction. That ditz. 3 minutes? He couldn't even last 10 seconds. Rather than buying her time, Sojiro had instead stolen hers. He had one job, to run away, that was all. She cursed him under her breath. Multiple footsteps, so it switched from bipedal to multi-leg form? The echoes made it sound like dozens of feet were approaching. Aoko's mind conjured an image of a giant 6-legged spider tearing its way down the corridor. It was little wonder that it was so much faster than before. Its perception of its surroundings through echolocation was of particular use in the dark. Compared to sight-dependent humans, this automaton was far better equipped to navigate its way through the labyrinth of mirrors. If it could not keep pace earlier, that had been because its bipedal mode made it less maneuverable. Now, the stability provided by multiple legs gave it a speed that far exceeded that of any human. What now? What now? Her thoughts spun out as she tried to come up with a plan B. All she knew for sure was that this was a pivotal moment. If she continued standing still, she had seconds left at most, even in her current state. She knew she could easily neutralize the bounded field blocking the entrance without casting a spell. All she had to do was feed a little of her own energy into it. Aoko could sprint with all her might for a little more than 3 minutes. The puppet had far more stamina than she did. She could only come up with 3 options. The first was to escape through the exit in front of her. The second was to hide somewhere on the more complicated first floor. And the third was to run into the basement and be stuck like a rat in a trap. Well, that's obvious enough. She made her decision with zero hesitation, moving her stiff legs again with determined strength. The oncoming storm was almost upon her. Her resolve firm, she turned and ran, descending into the darkness. Oh dear. Alright guys, this feels really pivotal. No matter what, a finale should be glorious. This would be the Mirror Castle's final scene. 2 humans and a puppet. A young sorceress ran toward the subterranean heart of the castle, while an autonomous antique chased its prey into the depths of a demonic dungeon. minute later, a faint blue charge would ripple through the castle. This was the main pillar in the deepest depths of the basement. Though not critical to the castle structure, the pillar was a visible symbol of it. The girl concentrated her magical energy into a fist and thrust it at the pillar. That sounded like Sonic. Oh, is it setting it off? This was the blow that would bring down the castle. She imagined the destruction as she threw the punch, and that scene blossomed into reality seconds later. It was simple ignition magecraft, meant to release the condensed magical energy engraved into the 4 pillars at the corners of the structure. Using electricity as a switch meant virtually instantaneous activation. Whoa! Uh-oh. Oh, that's bad. Shizuki? It happened swiftly and elegantly. A hammer of destruction descended upon the castle of dreams that had stubbornly resisted its fate for 2 years. Yeah, there it goes. There it goes. It was almost a joyous sound. And so, the lifeless and abandoned castle of mirrors set the stage for its final and most spectacular performance. Aoko's magical energy became an electrical charge that activated the magecraft formula engraved into the pillar. The chain reaction would lead to the castle's destruction. You served your purpose, but it must have been rough. Looks like you're gonna collapse any time now. The plaza in the center of the basement. Aoko tried to steady her breathing while rotating her magic crest at full speed. She wreathed her arms in blue light, fully aware that she could no longer activate another formula. Oh my god. Her labored breathing refused to settle. She stood at the center of the basement. Without being spotted even once, she had managed to make it all the way to the central pillar. It was a 100-meter dash in 13 seconds flat, undoubtedly a new personal best. Oh my god. She spurred on her weakened heart, knowing full well the fate that awaited her. It can't help but follow me, and once down here, there'll be no escape. I should have expected that. It was too much to expect that I could keep up the chase forever. Hindsight was 20/20. The castle was only a minute away from collapsing completely. If they stayed here, they would both be crushed by the rubble. The puppet certainly did not care. With no life of its own, its sole concern was the elimination of its target, Aoko Ozaki. Indeed, the enemy had been willing to die from the start. She resented her own lack of resolve. It wasn't like her to tuck tail and run from an opponent that didn't fear death. Yeah, it's still doing the curses. Huh. It's always been on a suicide mission, huh? It doesn't have enough juice to power the 6-legged form and the fin shots. The curses aren't recharging it fast enough. Such a perpetual motion device was only as good as its ability to regulate its energy consumption. Using so many functions at once meant it was burning through fuel quickly and losing the ability to process the curses that powered it. It was using up all of the functions it had been given to achieve its aim. This was the pride of a tool, if such things could have ego. Those endowed with sentience could never hope to understand. A beast born to do nothing but run would burn any human who faced its resolve. It's a waste, when you think about it. I thought my sister was the only one capable of something this reckless, but I guess I was wrong. But Aoko did not intend a sacrifice play here. She respected her adversary now, and she was done regretting her choices. There was no time to waste. This is it. This ends now. Boom! Aoko had every intention of paying it back double for what it had done to her. There she goes. Oh, she's Naruto running. The energy Aoko had accumulated exploded out of her right leg. She aimed for a single thing, a head-on attack. Ooh! The enemy responded with a lethal curse that reached for her heart like a set of talons. Humming with power, it meant to rend Aoko's heart and burn itself out in the process. Hup! As soon as she saw it, Aoko kicked the floor as hard as she could. Her long hair swirled through the air as she flipped aside. This lateral move almost sent her tumbling to the ground, but a quick swing of her arm allowed her to regain her balance. Oh my god, she's sick? She's goated with the saw? She's got the schmovement? A shot grazed her arm, the curse scorching her left shoulder. She did not flinch. Aoko knew she could hold on as long as she continued to avoid a direct fin shot. Snap, oh, boom, boom, get off of me! Off balance and in pain, it took her half a second to recover. The moment she raised her head, she deflected the attack with a fist full of magical energy. Seno! If the puppet had a will of its own, its eyes would have popped right out of its sockets. It would have been floored, shocked at the strong will that allowed this girl to perform a series of moves like this. Boom, the other one. Wait, is it the other arm or is it the same arm? I don't know. I'm trying to think of this. I'm trying to think of this in my mind's eye. I'm trying to visualize this because it's gotta look absolutely insane, right? I know it's anime. I know it's a visual novel, but come on. Aoko's response was instantaneous. While her power was not sufficient to completely redirect the arm's trajectory, it was just enough to deflect it harmlessly past her hair. It's still trying, it's still trying. Yeah, the chant became a curse that robbed Aoko of her vitality. Did it still have something left in the tank, or was it actually indignant? Whatever the reason, Aoko was easily able to resist its weakened defensive maneuver. Oh, here she comes. Boom! Oh, big old roundhouse, dude. Oh, that's sick! That's so sick! Oh my god! And of course she still has to say the incantation, because she's not that advanced of a mage yet. Glider, and her right leg, pulsing with magical energy, shot up into the puppet's chest from below. Dude, she roundhouse kicked that shit. Oh my god! She's the goat! It was much lighter than Aoko anticipated, or rather, she felt little resistance. An automaton's weight was determined by its internals, the size of its power source. Ironically, it was the superiority of its music box engine that would prove to be its downfall. Because it was so light, I guess. Easy to kick. Oh! Oh, it's powering down! Welcome to my grave! A stuttering curse. Having taken the full brunt of Aoko's kick, the puppet bounced from ceiling to floor. Dude, like a basketball? Oh my god, she's the coolest. She's gotta be the coolest to ever do it, right? Its internal construction had been warped by the impact, leaving the drum of the music box that powered the puppet warped as well. Take your design. Oh, she's got one-liners too. Take your design flaws up with your maker. A single dynamo would have all. Jesus Christ, I'm screwing it up. A single dynamo would have been all you needed to. Wait, what the? Yeah, it's falling apart around you. No time for one-liners, girly. Part of the ceiling came crashing down in front of Aoko, snapping her back to her senses. Did I really just take her out? She was so stunned by her own victory that she forgot the House of Mirrors had already begun to collapse. I've gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. Oh, it's like the timer. I see. There was no time to relish in her victory or pity her opponent, not unless she wanted to meet the same fate. As the situation stood, she found it hard to imagine getting out alive. Get a move on, Aoko. She clapped herself on the cheeks to motivate herself anew. This was her bounty for finishing their battle in a matter of seconds. Her breath ragged with excitement, Aoko ran for the exit. She surely, of course she makes it. She's gotta. Yeah, this isn't good. The collapse was intensifying by the second. Having lost its support pillars, the castle was buckling under its own weight. Out of my way! Boom! Escaping from the basement was proving to be no easy task. While she was taking the shortest route possible through the maze, she was nearly crushed by a falling piece of the ceiling along the way. This is the second time, no, the third, she had to deal with fallen rubble along the way. Oh god, how much magical energy does this girl have? Is she some kind of prodigy? Is that the idea? Because it was passed down in her family? She wasn't even intended to do this. It was her older sister, right? The automaton's jamming had long since worn off. The earlier attack had damaged the vast majority of its functions. Uh-oh! Boom, 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 boom. It's like C4, man. Times C4. Aoko's breathing was heavy as she ran. Desperation sparked her brain into overdrive. The ceiling seemed to be collapsing in slow motion. Life seemed to flash before her very eyes. Each second stretched into 5. Her frayed nerves made it hard to tell the time. Oh! There was debris riddled throughout the stairway, forcing her to crawl up it. She emerged from the destroyed basement into the collapsing first floor. That the plaza was still traversable at all was a miracle in itself, and fortunately for her, the crucial path to the exit was still intact. But it opened its eyes. The basement maze only extended as far as the plaza, so the entrance corridor wouldn't collapse. Only the ceiling would cave in, leaving the scaffolding surrounding it intact. She got herself this far by telling herself repeatedly that fate would decide whether or not she reached the plaza. Her gamble paid off. It was her lucky day. All she had to do was muster the last of her strength and keep moving forward until... She hesitated for a fraction of a second. Was it naivete? A sense of responsibility? She pushed aside the image that popped into her head and continued running down the corridor. We don't have the luxury of coordinating the timing with each other to pull this off. It's not the greatest plan in the world, but we both need to do our parts and get to the exit as quickly as possible. That was 5 minutes ago. At the time, Sojiro had nodded with trepidation, and Aoko had not bothered to ask herself why. What are you spacing out for? Just focus on running! This corridor was giving out too. If she were to look back, she was sure she would see the building collapsing in on her. She was also sure she had no time to waste doing so. Her luck was fading as fast as the building's structural integrity. It was a small miracle that she had escaped serious injury up to this point, and she could not afford even the slightest slip-up. An ankle sprain, loss of balance, or even a sneeze would be fatal. A simple pat on the back was enough to end it. So naturally... Yup. Oh. There it was, clear as day. From the detritus of the stairway, death had arisen to take her down with it. A corpse that had crawled its way up from the depths of hell itself. It was still operational. And it was still armed with curses. It had crawled after her, watching as Aoko desperately tried to save herself. The puppet's arm shot forward. While Aoko did not turn to meet it, she could see its reflection in the mirrors. Oh my god, extend, extend, extend. This time, she could not dodge it. There was absolutely nothing she could do. The puppet with her face sang, "I invite you to die a muddy death. Become as whispering dust, gouge out your hearts. Death be upon you." What? Oh! For a moment, she could not believe her eyes. It was the last thing she'd expected to see. Don't know when to give up, do you? Fierce expression adorned the face of the boy who had been waiting in the plaza as he smashed the puppet's outstretched arm. Anger really did not suit him at all. His weapon of choice was a fire extinguisher. He must have searched the maze for something to use as a weapon. No, never mind that. It was too crazy to contemplate, but had he stayed behind for her? Shizuki-kun, Aoko stopped the feat. Wait, Aoko stopped the feat she had sworn would never stop moving, there we go, and extended a hand out to him. Oh, that's enough, leave it, we have to go. Sojiro tossed the fire extinguisher aside and took off running. Oh my god, it's a Mission Impossible finish. We're going right up to the finish line. Oh, pieces of the ceiling continue to collapse like dominoes. There they go, they kept moving with the dust and dirt following in their wake. Their shadows raced through the collapsing corridor with all their strength. Is it fully... It's fully collapsed, right? The castle was in the throes of death. With a massive crash and a cloud of dust, the final chapter of the fairy tale that had been Kitsy Land came to an abrupt end. Go on. This duel to the death was over. For a moment, amidst their swirling emotions, any past enmity was forgotten. The two collapsed on the lawn and basked in a strange solidarity. This is exactly what I wanted. The ringing in their ears subsided before long. A tremor of such magnitude seemed impossible in an amusement park like this. As the sounds of destruction echoed across the park, Aoko addressed the individual at her side. Hey, you alive? Yeah. While the click of her tongue was adorable, the meaning behind it was anything but. What happened to that thing? What do you think? It was crushed to bits. Sojiro sighed, not wholly relieved by her frank response. His reason? Never mind that thing. You should be worrying about yourself. He wasn't out of the woods yet after all. Aozaki, I'm guessing you were a bit of a bully as a kid. Maybe, but I don't get a kick out of seeing people suffer. Never mind that. Do you know the situation you're in right now? She sat up and smiled. Sojiro hung his head in shame, wondering why her kind tone and expression were so chilling. Please accept my sincerest— Oh, because he screwed up? Oh no, don't you even start. You know what our agreement was, and a deal is a deal. If you held up your end of the bargain, I'd let you go. Exactly. And that's why I'm apologizing. Sojiro made a show of avoiding her eyes, like a pouting child. Oh, Aoko was taken aback by this sulky display. Perhaps he was angry at himself rather than her. He was not mad because she would not let him go. He was mad that he had not done his part. Aoko sighed for what seemed like the millionth time that day. She could not figure out what surprised her more, his unconditional kindness or her naive approval of it. So, are you ready? Of course not, but a promise is a promise. In the end, I failed to do my part. It was certainly the case that he failed to do any of the things she had expected of him. But just then, she glanced back at the collapsed house of mirrors. What had he done after failing so spectacularly? He had searched for the extinguisher so he could use it as a weapon, and waited patiently in the plaza as the maze collapsed all around him just because he thought it was wrong to leave her behind. It was a foolish choice, and the exact opposite of her choice to run towards the exit without hesitation. I suppose I'll take it. She was satisfied, even as she was shocked at how naive she was being. It was true that he had saved her. She smiled inwardly, admiring, if only for a moment, the bravery he continued to show in the face of such extreme circumstances. You may have blown your chance, but you did make up for it after the fact. I'll keep my promise. With a nod, she pulled herself to her feet. Aww. But you'll pay back this favor. Someday. Huh? The girl tried to keep a straight face as she offered a hand to the boy still lying on the ground. You managed to help me in the end, so because of that, I'll let you off the hook. For tonight. Huh? She bashfully averted his gaze. Though her profile appeared different than it had in the past, it was clearly still the face of the vibrant girl he met the day he first arrived in town. What are you staring at? Nani. As if she had felt his eyes on her, she shot him a frowning glare. Oh, sorry. It's just as crazy as it is to say it aloud. You really are a fair person, Azaki. He took her outstretched hand. Feeling his weight as she pulled him up, she could not help but think that he was about the last person she wanted to hear that from. By the way, you said you'd let me off the hook for tonight. What about tomorrow? Well, we'll just have to see. She shrugged her shoulders as if she was not sure herself. The response was so unlike her that it made Sojiro smile. Was it the solidarity of having escaped death together, or their fleeting camaraderie that made him do so? It might have been for this night only, but the air between them was kind and gentle. A lot had transpired, but the midwinter nightmare had come to an end. The pair had overcome many trials and tribulations and could now leave the mirror realm in their wake. But before that, how selfish of you. And who, may I ask, said you could decide that, Aoko? Uh-oh. Oh, that's not good. It was the voice of a beautiful songbird and a merciless machine, all rolled into one. Alice. Her voice quivered as she spoke the name. The lady in black made her presence known. The night was not yet over. Her name was Alice Kuonji. She was a witch whose name struck fear into the heart of Aoko, an avatar of the night who would allow no witnesses. Oh, hell yeah. Oh my god. I can't even begin to describe how this makes me feel. This is so sick. Oh my god. Oh, I'm digging it. The interaction and the interactions and the dynamic between the two of them. The situation that they found themselves in and the situation that they now find themselves in. Oh my god, guys. This is so fun. I can't wait to see what Alice is going to do and how they're going to get out of it, if they do. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I definitely did, and I will see you guys in the next video. So for now, have a good rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye!